Hello and welcome to this week's update show. I'm going to be talking to you about Viva Connections, SharePoint, Yammer, and of course, Microsoft Teams. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Microsoft 365 Update Show. My name's Paul Dredge, Microsoft MVP, and it's great to be back. Apologies to the people out there that were regularly tuning in to this weekly show. Had a bit of a time out over the summer, spent some time with the family, got really involved with things at work, but back, the show's back, and let's hope it continues. Something that has changed though, the show's staying the same, still going to be taking you through the latest updates of what's coming from Microsoft 365, what to expect and what that means to you. But things have changed in the sense that the jumpers are out now, the weather's turned horrible, and we're finding ourselves now in between that, wishing it was still summer, wishing maybe it was a bit more like winter, that in-between period of autumn that no one really likes. I'm sure no one out there likes the autumn time here in the UK. Rain, rain, and more rain. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on to what updates are coming from Microsoft 365. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about today is Viva Connections. Viva Connections was announced earlier in the year. Great way forward with Microsoft with pinning that SharePoint site, your intranet to your navbar within Microsoft Teams. But we've not really seen many updates come from that. The update was obviously putting the app in Teams, but there's been nothing else. We've been using the normal ways of working in SharePoint. Whereas what's been announced now is in preview mode is actually the Viva dashboard. It's finally coming out. The Viva dashboard is there that we can start to use. We can start building our dashboards to point to external websites, internal websites, or internal intranet pages. Or you can actually design your own ones, your own little icons, apps to take you to places, linking in that we can put into that dashboard. And this is the early days, so I'm really interested to see how this goes moving forward, what people start creating there. I've had a little play myself and just put in things like our external HR website, our timesheet website, and some other nifty little things just to bring it into that dashboard. Looks great. Audience targeting on it as well. As always, I'll link below to some more information around that, how you can get up and running with that Viva dashboard and what you can do with it. Next update, sticking with the SharePoint side of things, we're seeing some updates within SharePoint that are coming out now or coming out later on this month. The first one I want to talk about then is Hub Association. So if you've used SharePoint hubs before, that's where you create a hub and then link all your SharePoint sites to it so you can quickly access them. The theming's all done, the menu's all nicely tied in. But what Microsoft is doing now is actually associating hubs together. So you can have multiple hubs associated and interlinked. Previously, if you created a hub, it's a standalone hub, whereas now you can have two hubs, you can link them in, or various hubs, and link them in together to create, I guess, a super hub maybe. But it should help with navigation and be able to take an extra step with the way we're working with SharePoint. Another nifty little thing that's come out is the navigation switcher. So if you were used to working in SharePoint in old times, you'd know you'd have your navigation down the left-hand side, or you could have your navigation along the top, depending on what type of SharePoint site you were setting up, whether it's a communication site or a collaboration site. You'd either have your menu at the top, menu down the side. Once you created your site, you had no way of changing that in current ways. In old form, you'd be able to go and you can change that navigation in what do you call it? I don't want to call it old SharePoint. Let's call it traditional SharePoint. In traditional SharePoint, you had that way of doing it. But in modern SharePoint, once you created your site, you had to have that navigation how it was. Microsoft recently announced that navigation switcher is coming. So you're going to be able to choose whether navigation is at the top, navigation down the left-hand side. So it's going to be a lot better way of building your sites out, whether you're creating your hub and top-level hub, maybe you want some different navigations within there, but still want to link it in to Viva Connections and using that communication site to do it. You're going to be able to change how your navigation works. Moving away from SharePoint, we're going to have a look at Yammer. So Yammer, I say this every week when the Yammer updates come out. Yammer has always been that application that no one wanted to use. Some people used it, didn't really have ins and out ways of using it. Teams come along and sort of stop people from using it altogether. But Yammer is so important now, and I'm a big advocate of using Yammer, and it's got its place now in the world of 365. It's actually fermenting its space. But some of the administrative tools around Yammer have been a bit slack. People could do what they like in there, and so on. So what we're going to see is actually we can start restricting who can post posts into community. So we can restrict it so it's only the admin of the community that can post into there. So when the post goes into that community, it's only an admin that can post it. People can reply if you want them to reply, but people can't actively keep posting in there. So let's say we're setting up a 365 rollout Yammer group where we want to post tips and tricks on how to use Yammer. We don't want it bombarded with lots of other stuff happening within there, because we're using this as space as a project team to show what can be done in 365. We can lock that down, admin only, starting those threads. Real good way of managing that. A bit like what we can do in Teams when we have moderators and only moderators can post into a team channel. Yammer is doing the same thing. Other things within Yammer is actually can have nested replies. So when we're replying to a post within Yammer, it just replies it one after another. Whereas what we're going to be able to have it is separate replies within there. So keeping the conversation threads within those posts a lot more condensed. People will be able to follow them a lot better. We can nested replies. We can delete messages. We've got what's the other one? Deep linking is coming in as well. So again, all of that will be below in the forgetting what I'm saying here, in the description of this video. They'll all be linked in there where you can click through and find out more information around those. If you're sitting there thinking, well, what is deep linking, what is nested replies, and so on, take a look below. Just before we move on, some of the one of the team ones, just going to touch on breakout rooms, because breakout rooms has had a bit of an update recently, and some more updates coming. So breakout rooms, we're going to be able to create the breakout room pre-meeting. So we're going to be able to go into our meeting, create our breakout rooms before we start that meeting. Something that's not been there before, we're going to be able to do that. So you're going to be able to set up your breakout rooms pre-meeting, allocate the people that should be in those breakout rooms. So when you start your meeting, you click on the start breakout rooms. They're all there pre-configured, a lot quicker than having to shuffle people around or do it on the fly while you're in that meeting. Real nice addition there. Another one is actually presenter support. When breakout rooms came out, there was a lot of frustration around breakout rooms. A breakout room could only be started by the meeting organizer. So when you went into a meeting, if you were the organizer of the meeting, you could go in, you can start your breakout rooms, configure them however you wanted to do, put people into them. If you're an organizer of a meeting, but you're setting it up on behalf of someone else, that person who is the host, let's say, presenter, however we want to say it, they could not initiate that breakout room. It had to be the owner. If you had a shared calendar, or you were a PA to someone, let's say, and you were booking appointments on behalf of people, didn't really need to attend those meetings, they couldn't start those breakout rooms because they weren't the owner. Whereas Microsoft finally, after all this time of breakout rooms being out, nearly a year on, are bringing out the ability to have presenters for breakout rooms, so you can actually allocate those people to be able to start breakout rooms, organize breakout rooms, and so on, and manage them moving forward. So you're going to have presenters being able to say, you can allocate presenters to your meeting who then can manage that and look after that meeting. Great move. Not sure why it's taken so long to do that, Microsoft, but finally getting there. One little update with Microsoft Teams today. There's been lots of updates with Teams recently, but it's going to concentrate on this one little update. It is only a little update, but I quite like it. It's the fact that if you're on public preview of Teams, now your little avatar in that top corner shows you're on public preview. It has a little P next to it. So if you've been working in Teams recently and you've realized you've got this new little P hovering over your profile picture on your avatar at the top there and wondered what it means you're on public preview mode. You get to see the updates before anyone else, and it's just showing you that you are on that mode. Like I said, lots of other Teams updates coming. We'll save those for next week's show though. Hope you enjoyed it, the little updates. I am back, so do stay tuned. Definitely subscribe, ring that ding-a-ling so you get alerted on these new ones. Drop a comment below on what you think. And that is all from me. My name's been Paul Dredge, and this has been the Microsoft 365 Update Show. See you again soon, guys.